Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Spoil Me, covering Red Rising, Book 1, Chapters 34 through 36. The North Woods, Our Dominion. The North Woods, Oathbreakers, and A Second Test. In these chapters, well, we're going to do things a different way, I guess. We're just going to try and circumvent the powers that be. Literally, on Mount Olympus, there are people determining things, and we're just going to say, nah. I'm here for that. Let's do it. Welcome to Spoil Me. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha. Thank you very much to Ashely for commissioning this episode. Ashely, if you are here in the chat, hi, welcome. Delighted to see you. Y'all, these chapters are wild. I reached the end of chapter 36 and it was the right place to stop. This is part of the revised chapter numbers that I was given, which actually, out of curiosity, I'm just going to go check and see what I was originally asked to read up to at this point. 37. Okay. Because this was in the audiobook. It was roughly an hour and 40 minutes, I think. So it was a substantial amount, and another chapter would indeed probably have been too much. However, I would like to say I definitely didn't like to stop where I stopped. This was a really, really satisfying, interesting section. Fascinating for a lot of different reasons. So you guys were here when I started reading chapter 34 last episode in order to see if I could tell what was going on with Darrow and his injury. It turns out he is rescued by Mustang, and it's a sort of... This whole thing is so tough because it's understandable why he is sort of thinking that Io is there. You know, it's a feminine presence. When he wakes up eventually, she is singing the song that Io sang. So it makes a lot of sense why in his sort of fever dreams he was thinking that it was Io. And I don't know, maybe even supposing that he had died. But I really kept thinking about what it is like to have a dream where somebody who has passed away shows up and seems to be okay. And then you wake up and you have to realize all over again that that person is gone. And how utterly devastating that is. I don't know how many of y'all listening have experienced this sort of thing, but it is one of those experiences that's just barely like you've lost them all over again. And so him experiencing this feeling of being cared for by Io in an hour of extreme pain and isolation, and then waking up and realizing it's not her, was truly heartbreaking. It was just so sad, you guys. And I have to give this author some props for making Io feel like a real loss to me, even though I hadn't met her for very long. We only got to see her a very little bit, and then she was dead. And it's always difficult to make a relationship feel believable in such a short time that as a reader, when you eventually get to parts of the story where somebody is really mourning them, that you don't kind of just go, okay, can we get this over with? I don't know how some writers are able to nail this so well and others don't. I think it's a combination of giving her a very strong personality and having stories told to us about her that they don't happen in real time. We find out about a lot of that stuff either while he's in the mines in the very, very beginning of the chapter of the opening of the book, or we hear the stories from him after the fact once he is here in the Institute. So I think that has given me more of a feel for her. But yeah, it's just like, it's not easy to do. Making readers care about characters in general is not easy to do. Making me in particular care about a romantic interest, that is especially hard because I just don't see it for romantic storylines a lot of the time. So this whole thing with him crying when he realizes, and he is awake, but he doesn't say anything to Mustang, and Mustang pretends to not be aware that he has woken up. This whole thing felt so vulnerable and so sad. And then when he does wake and she is singing it, I weep. If ever I felt there was a God, it is now, as I listen to the mournful chords. My wife is dead, but something of her lingers still. And I just really love that, the knowledge that this is gold. This isn't even one of the people that Io was trying to motivate with her own death. And it has still stuck with this person. I just really think this is beautiful. I just really liked this moment a lot. So Mustang is out here like watching his back, basically. And when he says something about how like you could have enslaved me, she says slaves are stupid and you're already a gimp. Why make you stupid too? It is days before I'm able to walk. I wonder where those nifty medbots are now. Tending someone the proctors like, no doubt. I won Primus and they never gave it to me. Now I know why the Jackal will win. They are getting rid of his competition. Which, I'll be honest, I thought he had gotten the picture during that talk with Severo. Because that was when I got the picture. And I think I said, if Severo should have been given more opportunities due to his clear ability, and he hasn't yet. And Darrow is able to recognize that it's because Severo killed somebody he wasn't supposed to and was meant to die and did not oblige them in doing that. It's already very clear this is a rigged game, right? Like, I thought Darrow had already gotten the picture, but it isn't really until he has the conversation with Fitchner later, where Fitchner tells him some of what's what, that he begins to really, truly understand that. And I was just kind of, I was just surprised because I was like, I thought that you had started to get that already, bruh. But I think he just didn't really understand how acute the way the gunning for him had become. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, this whole thing is a real mess, as it turns out. So Mustang is helping him. She's basically like putting him through physical therapy with learning to like walk and everything and deal with his wound. Mustang says you should have killed Cassius or sent him away. I would have thought you nobler than that, I say. I like to win. Family trait. And sometimes cheating's in the rule book. You get a merit bar every time you recapture your standard, so I arranged for it to be lost to House Diana by someone else several times. Then rode out to capture it. Got to Primus in a week. And I really enjoyed this little detail. That's fun. She's gaming the system. Good for her. So they talk a little bit about the difference in the way that they handle things. And she talks about how her people like her. And she says, people don't like being told what to do. You can treat your friends like servants and they'll love you, but you tell them they're servants and they'll kill you. You put too much stock in hierarchy and fear. You're like a driven arrow. First time I met you, I knew you'd cut my throat to get whatever it is you want. And I really like this. I was talking about this in another book, the Mage Errant series. There's a point at which a character says something with just the expectation that she will be obeyed. And she is. And I talked a little bit about in that episode about how American exceptionalism has made it that none of us likes to admit we like taking orders, because we have this weird thing now that unless you're the lone wolf who does things by their own rules and, you know, is a bit of a loose cannon, then you must not have a mind of your own and are easily led, and how that's seen as like a real mark of weakness these days. And it really bums me out because, like, the truth is very few people are actual leaders. There are plenty of people who want to lead, who think that they would be good at leading, and they quickly demonstrate they don't have what it takes. They just want the power of telling other people what to do, which is not the same thing. But a lot of us actually like having an expectation and having a authority figure give us a specific set of expectations that we are meant to meet. It's reassuring. We like knowing somebody else is in charge. We like having a goal that is reachable and something that is specifically ours to worry about while other people take care of other tasks. And I am very much like this a lot of the time. I am put in the position of being a leader when I'm in workplaces and stuff because I think in a very organized way. And so I'm good at delegating and getting things done efficiently. But in my everyday life, I don't like feeling like I am the one that has to be in charge. I like to be, I like to accept a doctor told me to do XYZ and they are the one that went to medical school and are a professional. And so I accept what they are telling me to do about this thing. There are just various places in my life where I have really respected authority, even from a child, and have wanted to make authority figures happy. And to a degree, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think a lot more of us are like that than we like to admit because we have this weird hang up about it. And so I agree with her assessment here in terms of like people are willing to follow you and they are willing to do what they're told. You just can't keep pointing out that's what's going on. You've got to let them have their dignity and make it apparent to them that they have a choice in being here and that they are part of something, not just a cog in a machine, right? And this becomes a pretty big theme throughout these upcoming chapters because as things go on, the tactic that Darrow is deciding to take is one of actually creating an army of the people he has freed from slavery from other houses. So it's a mixture of all of these different groups. It is not one house, but they are all people who have decided that they, like, to start off with, they would rather take their chances out in the world and die than remain as slaves. And eventually it becomes, I'm going to be the leader that came in and freed them, that they feel maybe they owe or they see as a larger than life figure. And I am going to use that to my advantage. And he winds up in a position once again where he's dealing with a rapist and has to decide how he's going to cope with that. And it's really, really compelling. So we'll get there. But, so at this point, again, Mustang says something like, because he says, sometimes I forget the Institute is meant to teach me things. And she says, like, how we must live for more. Her words strike my heart. They echo through time from another's lips. Live for more than power, more than vengeance, more than what we're given. I must learn better than them, not simply beat them. And I really like that. I must learn better than them. Not I must learn to be better than them. I have to learn my lessons better than they are learning their lessons. When I had a tribe, I did it right. I made every boy and girl love me, made them earn their keep, taught them how to kill a goat as if I knew how, gave them fire as if I had created the matches. I shared a secret with them, that we had food and Titus didn't. They saw me as their father. I remember it in their eyes. When Titus was alive, I was a symbol of goodness and hope. Then when he died, I became him. Now, I'm going to be honest. I didn't really feel that when I was reading how he was handling things. I was genuinely surprised that Antonia decides that she's just going to fucking like turn on him the way that she did. I wasn't getting from his description of how things were going with Mars that he had become a tyrant. And I'm really interested. Oh, we got Ashely, we've got Alex, and we have somebody else who is nameless in the chat. If any of you guys have insight about the way that you interpreted Darrow's time as leader of Mars, I would be really curious to hear how you felt about it, because while it didn't seem like they respected him, I also didn't feel like he was being a bastard, which is what he's saying. And it's kind of caught me off guard, the fact that they turned on him and that he has judged himself so harshly here. I didn't really feel like that was there. And I don't know if if he's an unreliable narrator and I was simply not seeing reading between the lines enough about what he is describing and understanding some of the subtext there. It just felt like it wasn't written to point out that he was fucking up. So just curious about that, but I'm willing to accept it for the sake of the story. It's just the way that he talks about himself and the way they reacted to him in like being ready to fucking slit his throat in the middle of the night all caught me very off guard. So she says, slaves aren't part of the pack, so we can't fight like them. Not that it matters. The wolves don't have it right either. They take too much from their pack leader. Cut off the head, the body retreats. So the answer is autonomy, I say. Maybe. She bites her lip. I love this. Later she says it's like a hand, and she tries to show him how one finger can only move in a certain direction. She says, try to do something beyond simply grabbing the standard. Move your thumb counterclockwise and your fingers clockwise except your middle. I do it. She stares at my hand and laughs incredulously. Ass. I ruined her demonstration. Helldivers are dexterous. Listen, what that hand do though? Huh, Darrow? What you doing later? Mustang wants to know. She's just curious about it, that's all. Just saying. So the whole way that this like thing with Mustang begins to develop, I am really into it actually, because it seemed pretty clear to me that it was heading for romance the moment he met her. That just the way that they meet, how she challenges him right away, it was very much the thing, right? But I like the fact that he feels guilt about it because he is still in love with Io. He is not over her death at all. And in fact, Mustang reminds him so much of Io that it's almost worse. And so instead of them beginning to sort of like draw together romantically, it feels like she is trying to initiate a little bit. She's not super pushy, but it's like she's opening the door and he keeps resisting walking through, and she's not taking offense to it exactly. She's not backing off, but she isn't, it's like probably unclear to her why he isn't moving forward in that way. And part of me wonders if she kind of respects the fact that he isn't. Because, like, I know that this was something that drew me initially, both to Brendan and to Owen, was that so many men are so quick to attempt to ingratiate themselves because they want to get in your pants. And you can see it coming a mile away, the way they're going to approach you and how they're going to flirt and everything. And both Brendan and Owen didn't do it that way. They just treated me like a person that they wanted to have a conversation with. And never, like, the flirting was there, but it was very slight. And it felt altogether like they just respected me a lot more out of the gate, which is what made me interested. And I wonder if that's how it goes for Mustang as well. The fact that Darrow isn't making moves on her, if that's, like, interesting and different and just not what she was expecting, and therefore kind of draws her in a little bit more, like, than it would otherwise, you know? Sorry, is it Alex? I'm sorry, there's somebody here without a name showing, and so I don't know who to give credit to these comments. I don't think it's Alex, but they're saying it's very uncharacteristically gold. I mean ungold. In terms of the way that Mustang is approaching things, because I definitely agree. And I'll tell you what, guys, I'm in a place at this point with the fact that Titus turned out to be a red, where I'm like, is everybody I like a red, actually? Oh, Alex says it is him. Okay. Sorry, Alex. It's bizarre. Like, it's not showing your little icon next to it. So, but thanks, Alex. Hi. Glad you're here. But yeah, I thought, like, several times, is Fitchner actually a red? Is Mustang a red? Like, everybody that I have grown to like, I'm starting to be like, they must not be really a gold. And I don't think that's true, but I can't help but be like, I second guessed whether that was true of Titus, and it turned out to be, so maybe, you know, I don't know. Anyway, she gets a cough. And things start to get bad here. And it's funny because it really reminds me of the Hunger Games, because they're holed up in this cave. People out there are looking to kill them. She is too sick to move, and he has to find medicine. And it's just very, very, like, similar, just this little section. And at one point, Darrow goes out to hunt, and he sees some tracks, and he follows them. And he finds out they're in the cave with Mustang already. And it's the first time that he is genuinely realizing, oh, I care about her in a way that I didn't expect. One of the boys bleeds from a bite wound on his neck. They are planning on making her pay for that wound. Knives heat till red in the fire. One boy obviously enjoys the sight of her nakedness. He reaches to touch her skin as though she's a toy meant for his pleasure. My thoughts are primal, wolf-like. A terrifying emotion sweeps over me, one that I did not know I had for this girl. Not till now. It takes a moment to calm myself and stop my hands from shaking. His hand is on the inside of her thigh. I shoot the first boy in the kneecap. The second I shoot as he reaches for a knife. I'm a bad aim. I get his shoulder instead of his eye socket. I slide into the shelter with my skinning knife, ready to finish the boys off as they howl in pain. Something in me, the human part, has turned off. And it's only when I see Mustang's eyes that I stop. Darrow, she says softly. Even shivering, she is beautiful. The small, quick-smiling girl who brought me back to life. I shudder with anger. If I had been 10 minutes later in returning, this night could have broken me forever. I cannot bear another death, especially not Mustang's. And she asks him to let them live. Look, she's right. Obviously, the way this works out, the tactic that she's following here makes sense. But I could fucking never. And I'm just going to say that. This is how I fail. These boys tie me up and are clearly going to rape me and torture me with hot knives, kill them. Yes, please do immediately. How have you not already? That's where I'm at. And her being like, no, we're going to not kill them and put them out in the snow and leave a signal fire. No, I couldn't. I mean, that's too merciful, truly. Mustang insisted on coming along, coughing all the way as if she were worried I wouldn't do as she asked. She was right to think that. So he goes out and he's going to kill them after she falls asleep. And she wakes up as he is leaving. And he says, we'll have to move if they live and you're already sick. And she says, I'm tougher than I look, we'll move. But when they wake up, she's in like bad shape. When morning comes, we move deeper into the woods and make a lean-to shelter against a rock face. We never find out what happened to the Oathbreakers or our cave. And eventually, she asks him to sing the song, the Reaper song, which he does. And she says, Father told me there would be riots because of that song, that people would die, but it's such a soft melody. We used to sing songs by the campfire out in the country, where he kept us out of the public eye. When my brother died, Father never sang with me again. I really wanted him to ask about this, because why do they need to be out of the public eye? Why didn't her father sing again? How did her brother die? I want a lot more of information here, and Darrow isn't asking, and I'm kind of like, dude, how could you not be more curious? You literally have nothing else to do but talk right now. Fucking ask questions, man. So eventually he's like, I need to get medicine. I got to go out there and just look. Somebody's got to have something that I can take. And he goes out to hunt and he feels somebody following him. And eventually he manages to corner them, and it's Fitchner, who's chewing bubble gum and wearing what amounts to an invisibility cloak. And when this conversation, it's like, I was really wondering about this, because Cassius, the whole thing with him and the fact that they didn't heal Darrow, I felt like had to be a bad sign. He could easily have been saved from this wound if they intervened quickly enough, and they fucking didn't. Now, it could have been that they saw Mustang coming and they were like, let her deal, but they don't usually just go, well, let's see if somebody else can heal them first. They usually intervene. So them like letting the hollow be shown and then leaving Darrow in the mud to die, I'm just like, feels not awesome right now for Darrow, which is surprising because I thought that they were somewhat impressed with him. And here we find out some of what's going on here. So Fitchner, I'm trying to make sure that I'm saying this right. Is it Fitchner? Yeah. Okay. He says, little sleep these days on Olympus, busy days. And immediately Darrow just cuts to the chase and says, who gave the jackal the hollow of me killing Julian? The Proctors. Which ones? Apollo. All of us. Doesn't matter. I assume it's because they favor the jackal, am I right? As usual. Unfortunately, you're just not allowed to win, and you were gaining momentum, so I ask him to explain. He says he just did. Well, he did, Darrow. Allowed to? I echo. Allowed to? No one can be allowed to win. I thought the goddamn point was to carve our own ladder to the top. So if I'm not allowed to win, that means the jackal is. Pegged it. He doesn't sound very happy. Then that doesn't make it lick a sense. It corrupts the entire thing. You broke the rules. Yeah, boy. I don't understand how he hadn't already figured this out after what was going on with Severo. Severo and the punishment he is receiving is evidence that it is not a meritocracy. That in itself should have taught you. They have people in mind to win, and if you don't do what you're supposed to, that's punishment for you. It's not about, oh, we underestimated you and you're better at this than we thought. So no, that isn't how it works. And it's just taking him so long in this conversation to like come up to speed when I thought he already knew this. The best of gold is supposed to rise, yet they already have chosen a winner. Not only does this ruin the Institute, it ruins the society. The fittest reign, that's what they say. Now they've betrayed their own principles by taking sides in a schoolyard fight. This is the Laurel all over again. Yeah, it's a rigged system everywhere. That follows. People with power want to keep their power, and the only way that they can keep their power is by leaning on everybody around them. So, of course, and ensuring that your progeny is going to wind up in the same, like, yeah, dude, clearly. Adrius is the son of our dear Arch-Governor Augustus. Why is he supposed to win? Simply because his father is important? Unfortunately, yes. Be more specific. He sighs. The Arch-Governor has secretly threatened and bribed and cajoled all 12 of us till we came to agree upon the fact that his son should win. But we have to be careful in our cheating. The drafters, my real bosses, watch every move from their palaces, ships, etc. They are very important people as well. And then there's the Board of Quality Control to worry about, and the sovereign and senators and all the other governors, because though there are many schools, any of them can watch you whenever they like. What? How? He taps my wolf ring. Biometric nanocam. Don't worry, it's showing them something else right now. I threw down a jam field, and anyway, there's a half-day delay for editing purposes. All other times, any drafter, any scarred can watch you to see if they would like to offer you an apprenticeship when this is over. Oh, do they like you? And again, he has a moment of like, I am really glad I didn't say anything to Titus about being a red. And I was like, yeah, dude, again, I thought you knew that they were following you and watching you at all times. And the fact that you even considered it is loco to me. Like, oh my God, what if I take it off? Then you disappear. Except for the cameras we have hidden in the battlefield. Don't tell anyone. Now, if the drafters discover the Arch-Governor's scheme, there will be hell to pay. Tension between the schools, houses, certainly, but more importantly, there could be a blood war between the Augustuses and Bolognas. And you'll be in trouble if they find out about the bribery. I'll be dead. He fails in trying a smile. That's why you look like hell. You're in the middle of a shitstorm. So how do I fit into this? Many drafters like you. Those of House Mars get to offer you your first apprenticeships, but you can entertain offers outside the house. If you die, they will be very unhappy. Especially the Sword of House Mars. His name is Lorne Arcos. No doubt you've heard of him. He's prime good with his razor. How do I fit in? I repeat. You don't. Stay alive, stay out of the Jackal's path. Otherwise, Jupiter or Apollo will kill you, and there will be nothing I can do to stop it. And eventually, it comes up. A lot of the other proctors like him, even Minerva. She hated you at first, but since you let Mustang go, she's been able to stay around. And he's like, allowed to stay around. And Fitchner's like, well, yeah, once a house is defeated, then the proctor has to take off. But if she's got just one person left down here, she can stay. And that is what gives Darrow the idea. He's like, oh, so if, say, Apollo and Jupiter, who want me dead's houses were just, for instance, defeated, they would have to leave. And immediately, Fitchner's like, wait, you can't do that. Wait a minute. The Sword of the damn House Mars wants you as an apprentice, and there are others. Don't you want a future? I want to rip the Jackal's balls off. That's all. Then I will find my apprenticeship. I imagine it will be an impressive one if I do that. Darrow, be reasonable, man. Fitchner, my friends Roke and Leah died because of the Arch-Governor's meddling. Let's see how he likes it when I make his son, the Jackal, my slave. And then Fitchner says you're mad as a red, which is hilarious. You're screwing with the Proctor's livelihoods. None are content with their current station. They're looking to ascend as well. If you threaten their futures, Apollo and Jupiter will come down and they will cut off your head. Not if I destroy their houses first, because they don't they have to leave if I do that? Someone reliable told me those are the rules. Now, I have another friend who is dying, and I'd like some antibiotics. It'd be prime if you could give me some. And he's like, why would I do that? 'Cause you've been a shitty proctor, and you owe me, and you have your own future to look after. And Fincher's like, fine. And gives him one. Gives him a needle. Well, that was easy. I did not expect it to go this way. So what will you do? Fitchner asks. Who's more dangerous, Apollo or Jupiter? Be honest, Fitchner. Both are monsters of men. Apollo is more ambitious. Jupiter is simple. He just enjoys playing God here. Then house Apollo first. After that, I'll crush Jupiter. And when they are gone, who will protect the jackal? The jackal. Then we'll see if he really does deserve to win. Before I go, Fitchner tosses a small package to the ground. Not that it matters now, but this was given to me. I was told to say that you're to know that your friends have not forsaken you. Who? I cannot say. Whoever gave it to him is a friend, because inside the box is my Pegasus, and inside that is Eos Hamenthus Blossom. Guys, I'm dying. I really think that Fitchner might be a red. I really think he might be, they're called the Sons of Ares. It might, does it make sense? It makes sense. I think it makes sense. I don't know. Okay. So, chapter 35, Oathbreakers. Eventually, Mustang begins to improve, and they have their first moment with Oathbreakers. They have set a trap, and the Oathbreakers, they do fall for the trap, but they're smart despite that. And so that sort of wins them some points in Darrow's eyes. And they do the thing where they're like, we could make you slaves, or we could just not do that, and we could actually work together. And they gather 10 in about a week. Most of them have heard of me, but all are disappointed that I don't have the famous sling blade I used to beat Pax. Apparently, he's become quite the legend. They say he picked up and threw a horse and rider into the Argos as Mars's slaves fought Jupiter's, which is unbelievable. I don't doubt it. If everybody is saying that, I believe that's what happened. And that is insanity. I just can't. And as this is happening, Darrow is sort of considering where he stands in all of this and comes to the conclusion, I can't return to Mars. That is no longer my home. Ceres stands unconquered by the riverside. Behind their high walls, bread smoke still rises. I can't imagine how that must smell, you guys. Ugh. The smell of wood smoke is great anyway, but you add freshly baked bread into that, forget it. That's just, that's too much. I watch with Mustang and Melia as two armored warbands of Mars and Jupiter streak toward each other across the plains in front of Phobos Tower. And they're watching this fight, and it's a really interesting conversation. Darrow is like, they're just kind of posturing and thinking if we keep slamming into each other, eventually one of us will break. And they're not actually really accomplishing anything. And she agrees with him. She points out that they have some tactics, but ultimately it is sort of they're not, they don't seem to be taking this as seriously. It feels like they still see themselves as being characters in a movie a little bit. She doesn't say it that way, but that's the way I'm reading it, So what's our strategy? The longer I draw out any conflict with an enemy, the more chances the proctors will get to ruin me. My rise must be meteoric. Speed is our strategy. Speed and extreme prejudice. The next morning, House Mars warband finds their bridge across the meadows blocked by trees felled in the night. As expected, the warband turns around and rides back to the castle, fearing some sort of trap. Their watchmen in Phobos and Deimos cannot see us. They peer down and send smoke signals that there is no enemy in the barren, deciduous woods around the bridge. They do not see us because we have been belly down in the same position in the woods 50 yards from the bridge since Black Dawn. Each of my Oathbreakers has a white or gray wolfskin cloak now. I took a week to find the wolves, but perhaps that was for the better. The hunt created a bond. I love this. This dude is such a sneak, and that is fantastic to watch. So at this point, he's watching, and he's like, yeah, Mars is definitely going to take the bait. It's midday when Cassius sends troops to clear the felled trees from the bridge. In fact, Cassius plays too clever a game. Since he believes he is fighting Jupiter, his assumption is the ambush will be a sudden cavalry charge once the bridge is clear. So he has his horses go around the river, south through the highlands, and loop around on the far side of the bridge near Phobos to spring an ambush on the cavalry he assumes will come from the great woods of the plains. Milia, the shifty girl, brings me news of this movement of horse in the form of a howl from her perch nearly a mile off, where she serves as lookout in the high pines. It's time to move. We do not howl or shout as we 10 sprint through the leafless woods toward the toiling slaves. 4 Hydrafts sit on horses watching the work. One is Scipio. We sprint faster. They do not see us. We fan out, racing one another to make the first strike. I win. And I'm going to have to speed through this a little bit, but I really do enjoy this so much. They're shouting, and the Mars slaves turn their axes against my troops. Those from Minerva recognize Mustang and are set free when she clears away the mark of Mars. It's like a shifting tide. 6 slaves are ours. They tackle Mars' other slaves and pin them down as Mustang runs over and converts them. 8 by the same process. 10. 11 till only one offers trouble. Pax. I love Pax so much, guys. I've really grown to enjoy him. He's just basically a fucking cannonball that you aim in a certain direction and he'll go do whatever because he just can't get enough fighting. But he doesn't really seem to have like any particular ambition of his own other than I want to fuck somebody up. And that's just like all he wants. So eventually there is a moment where he like convinces somebody who used to be of House Minerva, who is like on guard on the wall. Why should I not call out? Did they tell you to guard the walls for enemies? I'm sure they did, but I'm of House Mars. The ring says so. I can't be an enemy then. And I love it. He eventually wins her over, and she accidentally drops the key so that he can get inside. And what he's attempting to do here is basically he's building his brand. He wants everybody to see him as an almost mythical figure. And so he is going to sneak in and send a message in this meeting room. So instead of like sneaking up on Cassius, because that's not what it is that he is attempting to do, he goes in, it says, I carve a sling blade on every door in the keep. I slip into the war room and carve a sling blade onto the huge table there to create the myth. Then I carve a skull into Cassius' chair and stab a knife deep into the back of the wood chair to create the rumor. As I leave the way I came, I see the hillside north of the castle erupt in flame. The brush stacked in the shape of the Reaper's sling blade burns hot in the night. And I was like, that is dope as hell. I am so sorry, but that is really, really fucking cool. I am a sucker for actually good posturing. And there's a difference. And we all know the difference when we see it. There are some people who it's just like, you are just such a drama queen for the sake of it because you can't resist. And then there's this where he is a drama queen with a purpose, and it's not like for the sake of it. He wouldn't bother with this if he could just get things done, but he can't do it that way. And he knows he has to create this sort of persona that everybody will be awed by. And that is so much more interesting. So they're doing really well with people managing to like take him seriously right out of the gate. They have to take down Sarah's first. And we hold competitions to see who has the best balance on the wood. Mustang wins. Horse-faced Milia is in second, and she's spitting bitter that she doesn't beat Mustang. I'm third. We sneak as close as we dare the night before and bury ourselves deep in the snow. And so they have to just like wait overnight. The wind is manageable, and the flakes do not bury us too deep. I'm first up, though I don't move. As soon as I yawn away the last vestige of my sleep, my army awakes organically, one student stirring and grumbling into another till there's a snake of sniffing and coughing golds buried together in a shallow tunnel beneath the snow's surface. So, eventually, I love this. Everybody wakes up. There's a point at which Titus, who does turn out to be a Titus, as it turns out, is like curled up against Pax, which is the two of them. There's a very like homophobic, oh God, kind of reaction. But because I do not like Titus, that's fine with me. And they get up, all 24 of us, silent again. We carry the long tree between us, huddling tight to it as we did in the night. So, I love this. A shout comes from the wall, a lonely, hollow call. More shouts, still few. Barks, confusion, an arrow, then another. We're at the wall. Shouts spread beyond the stone fortification from their towers, a signal horn barking of dogs. And I love this. They eventually, long story short, get inside, and they're able to take all of these people down. It is honestly so hilarious that Pax can't help but yell his name. Eventually, he's even yelling Darrow's name. And this moment, you guys, when they are fighting inside and Pax is still outside, Mustang tackles someone off the battlements. I side tackle one of the archers as he levels his bow at her. Outside, Pax shouts for me to open the gates. He's actually crying for combat. And I like to imagine he means weeping, literally weeping, because he wants to be beating people up so bad. That's what I'm imagining. I don't know if that's like, but I don't care. That's how it is in my head. So eventually they're inside. And he picks a boy up by the leg and uses him as a club. Mustang drifts about the battlefield like some Valkyrie, enslaving those who lie stunned on the ground. In 5 minutes, the ovens and citadels are ours. We shut their gates, howl, and eat some bloody damn bread. I free the House Diana slaves who help me capture the fortress and take a moment with each to share a laugh. Titus sits on some poor boy's back, braiding the prisoner's hair in girlish pigtails till I nudge him to get off. He slaps at my hand. "Don't touch me," he snaps. "What did you say?" I growl. He stands fast, his nose coming only to my chin, and speaks very quietly so only we can hear. "Listen, big man. I'm of Gens Valley. My pure blood goes back to the conquering. I could buy and sell you with my weekly allowance, so you don't demean me in this little game like all the others, you schoolyard king. I do as I like, because I took this castle for you and slept in a dead horse so we could take Minerva. I deserve to have some fun." I lean close. 3 pints. "What are you growling about?" "That's how much blood I'm about to make you swallow." "Well, might makes right," he chuckles and turns his back on me. So at this point, Darrow gets a hold of himself. He wants to beat the shit out of this guy. And I do not blame him, frankly. But he has to figure out how to actually handle all of this. So they explain the deal to these people. If you win another house for me, I will free you. And we will split things evenly and feed you and all of that. But even though things go somewhat well here, he gets woken up in the middle of the night by Mustang because fucking Titus tried to rape a girl. And he's just like, I cannot believe I'm dealing with this again. He talks to the girl. I'm trying to find exactly where she comes in to talk to him. I'm trying to, because him and Mustang discuss what he should do for a while before he speaks with this girl, because he knows that this is a really tricky situation he's in. Either he fucks up Titus and potentially loses the allies from his house that they're trying to get to be loyal followers, or he doesn't punish him and House Diana, who this girl was from, never respect him again because he did not hold this guy accountable. So he really doesn't know what to do. And it says they expect an eye for an eye, the House Sarah's slaves. Punish Titus, you piss off the Diana kids. They got you a fortress and you spit on them for it. Oh, sorry, it's not a Diana kid. He's from Diana, not the girl. Resentment will swell like a copper bureaucracy, but if you don't punish him, you'll lose all of Sarah's. That's right. So Sarah's the girl was from. So the girl is named Nyla, and he talks to her about how this went down. Dude tries to be like, oh, just rub my shoulders. And before she knows it, he's holding her down and starting to strangle her until she's going unconscious. It's really awful. And the way she's talking about it and how she doesn't even want to really say the words. What would you like for me to do to him? I don't reach out to comfort her. She doesn't need it, even though I think I do. Nothing. Nothing isn't enough. To fix what he tried to do to me, to make it right? Nothing is enough. And I really do like that answer. It is true. So then he gathers everybody the next morning and he pulls Titus up and says, did you try to rape her? To which Titus is like, rape? That's a very strong word. We're kind of in a place with no rules. It's not really rape if there's no rules, is it? They go back and forth like this for a moment. And what it comes down to for him is might makes right. If I can take, I may take. If I do take, I deserve to have. She's a spoil of war. My power took her. And before the strong bend the weak. I'm stronger than you, Titus, I say. So I can do with you as I wish. No? He's silent, realizing he's fallen into a trap. You are from a superior family to mine, Titus. My parents are dead. I'm the sole member of my family, but I'm a superior creature to you. I beg you voice your concerns if you disagree. By right of power, I can do with you as I like. I announce that rape will never be permitted, and then I ask Nyla the punishment she would give. As she's told me before, she says she wants no punishment. I make sure they know this, so there are no recriminations against her. Titus and his armed supporters stare at her in surprise. They don't understand why she would not take vengeance, but that doesn't stop them from smiling wolfishly at one another, thinking their chief has dodged punishment. So what Darrow does is he whips Titus 20 lashes. Before he does it, he's like, you gave in to animal instincts, which is pathetic. You did something completely outside the bounds of things. And I hope that you feel shame looking back on this. I'm going to do these 20 lashes. And he does. And then When Titus struggles to his feet with this look in his face like, I will fucking kill you eventually for this, Darrow is like, all right, now I get punished. You go ahead and whip me, because this is my army, and anytime anybody does something this fucked up, it reflects on me. It hurts everybody, so go ahead. And I love this. What were you going to do? I don't know what you mean. Come on, man. You were going to shove your prick inside someone in my army. Why not whip me while you're at it? Why not hurt me too? It'll be easier. Amelia won't even try to stab you, I promise. I shove him again. He looks around. No one speaks. I strip off my shirt and go to my knees. So he whips her. Or he whips Darrow like 5 times. And the thing is that Titus is weakened from his whipping. So the strikes aren't that hard. And here I am thinking, good call, have him whipped first, and then you also get whipped, but it's not so bad. And then what does Darrow do is be like, no. This is pitiful. Get out of here. Where's Pax? And I was just like, oh, wait, dude, are you sure about this? Like, I immediately started to reevaluate everything about it. My army cries in protest. They don't understand. Golds don't do this. Golds don't sacrifice for one another. Leaders take. They do not give. My army cries out again. I ask them, how is this worse than the rape they were all so comfortable with? Is not Nyla now one of us? Is she not part of the body? Pax tries to go light, but it's Pax. So when he's done, my back looks like chewed goat meat. You do not follow me because I am the strongest. Pax is. You do not follow me because I am the brightest. Mustang is. You follow me because you do not know where you are going. I do. I motion Titus to come toward me. He wavers, pale, confused as a newborn lamb. Fear marks his face. Fear of the unknown. Fear of the pain I willingly bore. Fear when he realizes how different he is from me. Don't be afraid, I tell him. I pull him forward into a hug. We are blood brothers, you little shit. Blood brothers. I'm learning. Kids, I could never. He hugs this guy. What? I know that's not the point I'm meant to take away. And he whipped him, and that's all well and good. Do I think he handled this correctly? I do. I'm not criticizing his handling of this. I am saying I could never. I couldn't. I am so sorry. I would have castrated him. That's all. That's it. That's it, and that's all. There was a female pirate that I remember reading about. She was Chinese, I think. And she ran things with an iron fist. And one of the ways that she handled things was that if she found out any ship had committed rape, she castrated the whole crew. So that basically, anytime somebody saw another dude who was about to rape, they felt their own balls were in danger, and they were like, you better fucking not. And they would toss the rapist over the side to preserve their own manhood. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have been mad if he had instituted that policy. Anybody rapes again, all y'all are losing your balls. Because he straight up mentions the fact that all of House Diana knew what was happening and nobody stepped in. And that for me is the problem. That's the thing for me, is that nobody decided to do anything. And so I would have done I will castrate you all. Which I know would not have gotten him the kind of reaction this did. It's the wrong move. It would turn him into more of the what's the word I want? It would make him a little bit more Titus-like, I guess, in his own eyes. To me, rape in this sort of scenario is unforgivable. And somebody who literally can look you in the face and be like, raping her is not a big deal, after getting caught having done it and being like brought to their knees in front of the whole army, and they're still swaggering and just like, whatever. I can't just, I could not contain myself. This kid, something very, very, very bad would have happened to him if it were me. I couldn't allow somebody who was willing to do that to be part of things. It would be such a big risk to me. I want to believe that choosing to take this beating really has shifted things so far that Titus sees him differently. I think in the story it has. I am not certain this would work in reality. It's, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know how I would feel as Nyla watching this guy get embraced after all of this. Even if he had been beaten, I don't know. I don't know. Nyla says nothing could be done to make this right. And she like straight up says those words. So maybe she is dispassionate enough to see, practically speaking, that this is the way to handle things. If so, better woman than I. That's all I'm saying. But that's where I had to stop reading. And I think it's a really, really good thing we're shortening these sections, guys, because I'm over time still, even with the shortened section. Only a little over time, so it's totally fine. But I don't know what I would have done if there was a whole other chapter to talk about. I would have been screwed. So Alex says, what a power move, right? That's how I imagined it too. Ooh, Alex was agreeing with me about something I said, but I forgot what it was that I was saying at the time. But good. I'm glad that we both imagined the same thing, whatever it was. All right, guys, I have to wrap, but Alex says Pax literally crying. Yes. Just be like, let me in. I need to beat somebody's head in so bad. Why are you doing this without me? Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I keep picturing, you know what I'm picturing as Pax? The kid who plays Emmett in the Twilight movies. That's who I got in my head for Pax. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap. Thank you all so much for hanging out. Appreciate you a lot. Until next time, toodaloo, motherfuckers.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.